Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Books and Backbone. My name is Donna Harris, CEO of Bookkeeping Made Simple, your host, and welcome to August. Last month, we talked about foundations, freedom, and what it costs, the pattern I keep seeing in small business books, the business that couldn't be sold, and what strong business finances actually look like. This month, we're building on that foundation. And I want to start with a distinction that I think changes everything about how you spend your time, where you put your energy, and what you actually end up with at the end of it. And that is the distinction between building a business and running one. Most business owners are running one. A smaller number are building one. And the difference, once you see it, is hard to unsee. Well, let me explain what that means. An operator executes. They show up, they serve their clients, they handle whatever's in front of them, and they do it again tomorrow. There's nothing wrong with that. The work gets done, revenue comes in, clients are served, the business functions. But here's the thing about an operator. They are the business. When they show up, things happen. When they don't, things stop. Everything lives in their head, the processes, the decisions, the client relationships, the financial picture. The business is not a system, it's a person. And that creates a ceiling that most operators hit eventually, whether they recognize it or not. The ceiling shows up in different ways. Sometimes it's capacity. You can only do what one person can do, and at some point you've done all of it. Sometimes it's freedom. You can't take a vacation, you can't get sick, you can't step back without the whole thing wobbling. And sometimes it's value. When the time comes to sell the business or bring on a partner or attract investment, what a buyer finds is not a business, it's a job. A very demanding, rather expensive, very personal job that doesn't transfer. Operators are often extraordinarily talented. The business works because they're excellent at what they do. But excellent at what you do and excellent at building something that outlasts you are not the same skill. A builder now does the same work. They serve the same clients, deliver the same quality, put in the same hours. But while they're doing it, they're asking different questions. Not just how do I do this well, but how do I build something that does this well, reliably, consistently, without requiring me to be present every time. The builder documents the process while they're executing it. They notice the decision they make the same way every time and they write it down. They create the checklist, the template, the system, not because they love administrative work, I guarantee you we don't, but because they understand that knowledge only lives in one person's head is a single point of failure. The builder hires into systems instead of hiring to replicate themselves. They train to a standard instead of training to personality. They build something that can be understood, replicated, and eventually handed off. In fact, I often say it's not worth doing if I can't duplicate it with somebody else. And financially, and this is where it gets specific, the builder maintains a financial picture that is clear enough that someone else could read it and understand where the business stands. Not a financial picture that makes sense to them because they know the context. A financial picture that makes sense to a banker, a buyer, a partner, a team member that wasn't there for the decisions that created the numbers. That's the distinction, and it's almost entirely a financial records question. Some of it is processes and procedures, but we'll get into that another time. I want to really make this concrete because I think it's easy to hear the operator versus builder framework and think it's about mindset or personality or some sort of a quirk. It isn't. It shows up in the books. I promise you, everything about your business shows up in the books. An operator's books reflect what happened. Revenue came in, expenses went out, here's what's left. Accurate? Well, maybe, but not useful. Not a management tool, it's just a record. A builder's books are a management tool. They tell a story that can be acted on. Revenue by service line, so the builder knows which offerings are actually worth growing and which ones are consuming resources without proportionate return. Margin by client, so the builder knows who their best clients actually are, not just who pays the most, but who generates the most profit relative to the cost of serving them. Cash flow 3 months out. So the builder is making the hiring decision, the lease decision, the equipment decision with a real picture of the cash, what the cash position will look like when the commitment comes due. Owner's compensation at market rate. So the profit number reflects the real cost of running the business, not an artificially inflated number that assumes the owner's time is free. These are not complicated things to track. They're available to any business, not just to large businesses with finance teams. They're available to any small business with current, well-maintained books and someone who sits down with those books and explains what they mean. What's the difference between an operator's books and a builder's books? Someone looked at them. Someone asked the right questions. Someone set up the reporting to show not just what happened, but what the numbers are telling you what to do next. That's it. That's the whole difference. Here's a question I ask when I want to know whether someone is operating or business. If you stepped away from your business for 90 days, completely away, no calls, no emails, no decisions, what would happen? I want you to sit with that for a minute. Not the comfortable version of the answer, the honest one. For most small business operators, the honest answer is it would struggle. In fact, it might close. Maybe, the struggle is so significant because everything that makes the business work lives inside that one person, and that one person is gone. For a builder, the answer is different. Not because they're more talented, sometimes they're even less talented, or more disciplined, or working harder, because they've been doing something very specific over time. Building systems, documenting decisions, maintaining a financial picture clear enough that someone else could read it, and hiring people who can operate within a structure that doesn't require the founder's constant presence. The 90-day test is not about whether or not you can afford to take a 90-day vacation. It's about what your business is structurally. Is it a system that delivers value, or is it a person who delivers value? Both can be successful. Only one is sellable. Only one is scalable. Only one is free. If you're listening to this and you recognize yourself as an operator, and most business owners do, I want to give you something concrete to do. Not a 47-step transformation plan. Nobody ever does that. One thing. Get your financial picture clear. Not because it's the most exciting place to start, but because every other building decision runs through it. Can you afford to hire the person who would free up your time to work on the business instead of in it? The books tell you. What service line is actually worth building systems around and scaling? The margin tells you. What is this business worth if you ever want to step back, if you want to sell it, bring on a partner, or attract investment? The financial records tell you, or they don't, and you find out at the worst possible moment. The builder starts with the numbers, not because they love accounting, but because you can't build something you can't see. And right now, if your books are behind, your financials don't tell a story you can act on. If you couldn't answer the 90-day question with confidence, that's the first thing to fix. Everything else you want to build gets built on top of that. This month on Books and Backbone, we're going to keep building on this. Cash flow is a strategy, the 5 numbers that tell you everything you need to know about your business's health, how to know when you're actually ready to hire, what makes a business more valuable before you're ready to sell. And at the end of the month, which I'm so excited about, the launch of From Broke to Bankable. The book that captures the conversations I've been having with small business owners for 25 years in a form that can reach people I will never sit across my desk from. If you want to start building and you want to start with the financial picture, I'd love to help. You can find me at mysimplebookkeeping.com. The first conversation is free, 20, 30 minutes tops. Let's look at what your books are actually telling you, and then what you can build on top of them. I'm Donna Harris. This is Books and Backbone. Let's build something.